I went to a conference last week, the CLEAR conference, which stands for Continuing Legal Education Association, up in Brisbane. And it was brilliant. It was a really useful, practical conference. And I just wanted to share a couple of the takeaways that I got, because they're good reminders. And I suppose the main one was talking about how to prepare any kind of presentation, training, session, anything that you're really presenting to people. And just some really good reminders. And it was from the presenter, Ben Richards from Atticus, and it was really a fabulous session. But just remembering your opening and your close, and it's sometimes just good to remember it. And the first thing he spoke about is you've really got an issue with retention and concentration spans in a big way now. He was suggesting that between 2 and 9% we remember from an hour's presentation, which is alarming. But if you go in knowing that, you can be doing things to accommodate it. And so one of the first things is spend the first 2 minutes not just telling them everything about your achievements and an introduction. Just get in there and start. Tell them why they're listening and what's going to be interesting, and get them sitting up, because that really might be, you only might get them for a few minutes. And if you've just spent the whole first few minutes introducing yourself, you might be really have lost the room. And using your close to explain why they need to retain it. And retention was a really interesting one. He spoke about, he asked us to remember in 10 seconds how many commercials and ads we remembered. And we were really struggling to remember anything. And then we talked about if we could remember ads from the 1970s, obviously as we were older. And we had no trouble. We could, in Australia here, we could remember the Jaffas ad, the Mrs. Marsh, Does It Get In, the Colgate, which is Colgate, Professor Sumner Miller and Cadbury's, Aussie Kids are Weet-Bix Kids, Vegemite. We could remember that, but we couldn't remember the more recent ones. And that was a suggestion, and that was a trend that's been recognised. And the suggestion being that our brains are so used to getting information now, we've adapted, we actually don't take in a lot of it. We're really filtering all the time. And I thought it was a really timely reminder when we're trying to deliver things to people and we're trying to deliver training. Remember, I know we always think of the why, but really come in quickly and start saying, this is what we're going to be covering and this is why it's going to be useful to you. And then at the end, maybe the 3 things you must have remembered or should remember at the end of this session. Because we know most of the learning is going to happen outside of that world. It's how they're going to go and apply it. And most learning is informal. But if we can know that we've got limited time for their listening and retaining, be really effective with it. Use it well and keep your audience engaged, but know they're not going to take away everything. So help them curate and distill what they're going to need from your session. And I thought that was a really good thing to remember when we're always just trying to throw everything at people. A lot of it's going to be just white noise. So think about how you can make your sessions much more effective.